6 p.m. in Isu, in the Menjum Division, Northwest region of Cameroon. Same time right here in Akwadwala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Our major stories tonight: activities and life remain paralyzed in the conflict northwest and southwest regions by a lockdown imposed by separatist fighters. Meantime, some commercial bike riders took to the streets in the northwest regional capital, Banga, to denounce the adverse consequences of lockdown phenomenon imposed by separatist fighters, hindering access to education and healthcare. Away from that, cases of child abuse keep increasing in Cameroon. On tonight's edition of the news, we'll take you to Dogbasi. It is a locality found in the Douala 3 subdivision to meet 6-year-old Mael, who has been physically and mentally tortured for the past years, allegedly by his own father. As a result of this maltreatment, Mael has sustained a fractured leg, arm, and scars all over the body. Those are major stories tonight. The news in full in a jiffy. Once more, good evening and thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe television. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. Cases of child abuse keep increasing in Cameroon despite efforts of the authorities to end this phenomenon. We take you to Dogbasi in the Douala 3 subdivision to meet 6-year-old Mael, who has been physically and mentally tortured, allegedly by his own father for the past years. As a result of this maltreatment, Mael has sustained injuries, a fractured leg and an arm, and also scars all over his body. Malaglory talked to the little boy about his father, who was arrested, and he says he doesn't want to return home. Her report.
6-year-old Mael is yet to resume school for the academic year 2025-2026 in the Dogbasi neighborhood, Douala. This is because of the injuries and fractured leg he has gotten from the serious beatings administered on him by his father.
Je marche avec le pied. On ne peut revenir ici parce que quand on vient ici, on me casse le corps.
The little boy, whose mother is out of the country, was taken from the family at the age of 3 by his father. And since then, family members complain of not being in good terms with the perpetrator. As a result of this, the boy has endured physical and emotional torture from his father.
À ma grande surprise, il nous interdit même les visites et tout. On ne doit pas aborder l'enfant. Il a une autre femme chez lui et tout.
I was surprised that after having the child, he stopped us from visiting the boy, nor having anything to do with him. Just that last Sunday, I decided to pay a surprise visit, at least to wish the boy luck for the new academic year, but discovered the boy was physically tortured, scars all over his body and a broken leg, reason why he can't walk well. We immediately took him to the hospital and the doctor prescribed an operation on his leg and arm so he can regain his health.
Pour que l'enfant retrouve sa santé.
After discovering the child was being maltreated, the family struggled to take the boy from his father to no avail. So immediately alerted the security officials. It was in December that we discovered the boy was not living well with his father. Then last Sunday, when we got here with his schoolmates, we discovered the situation has worsened. So we silently took him to the hospital and later to the police station to report the case, and that is how he was arrested in the early hours of Wednesday. The family now called for justice for little Mael, and while the victim is being followed up by health specialists, the perpetrator is in detention at the 14th Public Security Unit of Douala for further investigation.
Malaglory reporting there. And in Bamenda, the silence is deafening. Classrooms are empty, shops locked, and families remain indoors, unsure when life will return to normal again. Another separatist-imposed lockdown has turned the city into a ghost town. Parents whisper fears of their children losing their education, while traders count the days of lost income. Though the city mayor urges residents to rise above their fears, many prefer staying behind closed doors. Bustela reports from Bamenda.
In Bamenda, the Northwest Regional Capital, another separatist-imposed lockdown has silenced daily life. Schools remain shut, traders count losses, and families are trapped indoors. Parents, speaking of records, say they fear their children are losing yet another school year, further deepening the region's education crisis. For traders, days of silence pile into weeks of lost income. On Thursday, September 9th, the city mayor launched a caravan across Bamenda. Riding with a maxed group of bike riders, he stopped at Upstation, Mobile and Commercial Avenue, urging residents to defy fear and declare the lockdown over. His message appears to have fallen flat. Even this Thursday, the town was still shut. Critics say the mayor is putting the cart before the horse, urging that without a political solution to the Anglophone conflict, his words ring hollow. They also question why his campaign is limited to relatively safe green zones, leaving out hard-hit neighborhoods where daily life is mostly paralyzed. For now, Bamenda remains a ghost town, and as the mayor's convoy disappears each evening, residents remain hostage in their homes, caught between politics, fear, and survival.
Now we talk politics. Cameroonians have once again called on political parties to unite and form a bloc and present a common candidate for the October 12 presidential election. This is after a meeting convened by Manidem in Yaoundé for the above purpose was banned. Other political actors dissociated themselves from the initiative, as Annabila tells us.
Having a common candidate to represent opposition political parties on October 12 has been the objective of the opposition in Cameroon. However, a meeting by Manidem to get a consensual candidate was banned in Yaoundé by the government with claims of insufficient authorization documents.
L'idée d'avoir cette candidat unique consensuel et c'est ce que le peuple camerounais attend.
The UNDP of Bello Boba immediately reacted, dissociating itself from the Manidem bid for a coalition. Civil society actors have expressed worries over the fact that the opposition has been working in dispersed ranks.
According to
Barrister Kamwa Limen, most Cameroonians are still counting on Professor Maurice Kamto's directives before electing a candidate.
Professeur Maurice Kamto a la responsabilité aussi de guider beaucoup de Camerounais.
Just like Barrister Kamwa, Dr. Nick Ngoyam thinks greed and personal interest can hardly give the opposition a chance in Cameroon. Most opposition parties' opinion leaders say might just go numb after the presidential election if they can't form a common bloc to oust the 43-year-old regime of Yaoundé.
It is very, very unfortunate, and truly some political parties are coming to the end of their life.
And still in politics, Serge Espoir Matumba has declared that if elected as president, he will unite all Cameroonians, cancelling the idea of Anglophone and Francophone Cameroon in the constitution. He also promised to resolve some of the burning socio-economic problems faced by Cameroonians. The president of the United People for Social Renovation Party was speaking during a rally held in Banga recently. Smajikan Gabriel tells us more.
Serge Espoir Matumba in Banga of the Mongo Division. The presidential candidate of the United People for Social Renovation Party made his pre-campaign rally in a town with many historic values for the people of Cameroon. Banga is a historic town in Cameroon. Former President Ahmadou Ahidjo and John Foncha laid the foundation stone for the construction of the railway line linking Banga in the Mongo Division to Kumba in the Meme Division, which is a way of uniting the Francophone and Anglophone Cameroonians. Banga is thus a city symbolizing unity for Cameroon, and when you are in Banga, you feel in you and see the true living together of the people.
Et vous voyez le véritable vivre ensemble des populations de cette localité.
It was an occasion for Serge Espoir Matumba to re-echo his plans if elected as president of the Republic come October 12, 2025. The presidential candidate says Cameroon will no longer be divided into two as it is now. We need to have a supranational identity. Immediately I am sworn into office, come November 6, 2025, the first action will be to rewrite the constitution, because I don't want to hear that we have an Anglophone and Francophone Cameroon. We are going to remove that. We want to create a national identity where there will be no war. I want a nation that my kids won't be tagged with a name. I'm challenging you all to make me your president. The rally was also an occasion through which Serge Espoir Matomba installed the Banga Bureau of the United People for Social Renovation Party, which is led by Ewonjo Cyril, who doubles as the party's divisional leader for the Mongo. Before leaving Banga, Serge Espoir Matomba received traditional blessings from some of the rulers who were present during the rally.
On to something else, the Litoral Regional Delegate for Secondary Education has emphasized the importance of adhering to strict standards in private schools to ensure quality and safe education. This move aims to address concerns about the quality of education in the region, particularly in Douala. Sirichakutio has more.
Cameroon Secondary Education Ministry ordered the closure of 171 clandestine schools, with the littoral region having 63, including 44 in the Wuri division. These schools were shut down for operating without authorization and other reasons. For the beginning of the 2025-2026 school academic year, the Littoral Regional Delegate for Secondary Education made a tour to some private schools in Douala so as to ensure they respect the required conditions.
This school is an example because they have all the authorization that are required for the opening, the creation and the opening of a school. So by being here today is to confirm that a regional delegate cannot go in a clandestine school. So you can be sure that their documents are ready and normal. That's why we are here. But we are also here to confirm that the standards that have been required by the Ministry of Secondary Education are also there. We have classrooms with large classrooms. We have the digitalization rooms. We have the magic boards. So it's an example, the school where we are today.
The Littoral Regional Delegate of Secondary Education reiterated the required documents needed for the opening of a school.
The proprietor must have his documents of setting, and to operate he should also have the documents of opening. Those are the two main documents that he must have.
Teachers took this opportunity to express the challenges they face since the beginning of this school academic year.
It was a little bit challenging during the first days because the new students that came in, we had to begin to direct them, and at the level of organizing the new teachers that were to come in, it was a little bit challenging, but it never took us much time. We had to put the condition under control.
To the government, the respect of these rules is crucial to ensure a fluent and fair school academic year.
Now we talk health. The health voucher program has been launched at the Kongsambat District Hospital in the Littoral region as part of Phase 1 of the Universal Health Coverage Initiative. This program aims to reduce the high maternal and neonatal mortality rates. During the launch, presided by the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauta Malachi, he announced that pregnant women will receive antenatal consultations until delivery at a cost of 6,000 francs CFA. More with AC Lucilian.
In recent years, Cameroon has recorded a surge in maternal death, with approximately 4,000 women and 22,000 newborns dying each year in the country. This alarming statistic is due to several factors, including poor access to health care and a lack of financial resources, which deprives many pregnant women of adequate medical care.
Chaque année depuis 2023.
At the Kongsambat District Hospital each year since the year 2023, we count an average of 2,655 women who come for childbirth in the Lone District. Among them, 470 went through cesarean, while 158 gave birth at home, causing at least one maternal death.
Maternelle déplorable.
To address this issue, Cameroon launched the first phase of its Universal Health Coverage Initiative in 2023, extending its health voucher program to the littoral region.
Avec ce chèque de 6 000 dont vous allez faire les 9 mois en allant à l'hôpital et en rentrant sans plus rien donner.
Recently, the health voucher program was officially launched at the Kongsamba District Hospital in the Mongo Division by the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manawoda Malachi.
Et notamment pour nos mamans, nos sœurs.
For our mothers and sisters henceforth, when we anticipate of having a child, we can purchase a health voucher for 6,000 francs.
Dès qu'on a ce chèque santé entre les mains, on ne vous demandera plus jamais rien.
According to Dr. Manawoda, this initiative allows pregnant women receive antenatal consultations until delivery, while newborns benefit from specialized care during the first 42 days for 6,000 francs CFA.
Lorsque vous rentrez dans la salle d'accouchement et qu'il y a une complication, ne vous gênez même pas.
The pre-payment mechanism, which provides subsidized health services targeting pregnant women and newborns, aims to reduce mortality rates and will soon be officially launched in the center and west regions. As of today, the health voucher program covers 8 regions of the country.
And out of Cameroon, French police have arrested hundreds of people as protests led by the left-wing forces under the banner "Block Everything" spread across the country. Hundreds of people were arrested and detained yesterday. And in Central African Republic, heads of state and other government authorities continue battling to save the sub-region and the entire African continent from financial constraints, underdevelopment and challenges, and colonial yokes slowing down industrialization. Babila Jonathan reports.
Protesters across France obstructed highways, burnt barricades and clashed sporadically with police on Wednesday in a show of anger against President Emmanuel Macron, the political elite and planned spending cuts. More than 80,000 security officers were deployed across the country, removing barriers and spraying water hoses at demonstrators as tensions flared in several places. In the French capital city, Paris, riot police periodically use tear gas to disperse crowds. Nearly 200 people were detained in the capital. The Conference of Heads of States of the Central African Economic and Monetary Community, CEMAC, unfolded in Banga with the most striking absence, Cameroon's Paul Biya, the oldest serving president in the bloc. He was represented by the Minister of External Relations, Lejeune Belambela. His absence has stirred speculation about his health and influence in sub-regional politics. The Banga meeting, billed as a platform for dialogue and economic integration, took place at a time when CEMAC is facing mounting public debt and a fragile recovery from global economic shocks. The region's financial stability and regional growth were therefore some of the major focus points of the meeting. The outgoing acting president of the CEMAC Heads of State Conference, Central African President Professor Faustin Archange Touadéra, said appropriate measures have been taken to deal with the sub-region's financial constraints. He added that in solidarity, the member countries of the sub-region can transform the region's natural resources and other potentials into concrete opportunities to overcome challenges and fast-track the region's industrialization drive. The summit's highlight was the symbolic handover CEMAC's rotating presidency. Faustin Archange Touadéra of the Central African Republic passed the torch to Congo's Denis Sassou Nguesso, underscoring the bloc's tradition of shared leadership. Taking over the baton of command, President Denis Sassou Nguesso promised to continue the Pan-African struggle to liberate the African continent from colonial yokes and underdevelopment challenges.
The report done by Babila Jonathan ends this first part of the news. Talking Point comes up next. My guest tonight is Barrister AKERE MUNA, presidential candidate representing Univer Party. Good evening, Barrister. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
With the October 12 presidential elections approaching, Many Cameroonians, including influential figures like His Royal Majesty Jean Ramos Sokojo, are urging the opposition to unite and challenge the current regime led by President Paul Biya, who has been in power since 1982. How crucial is it for the opposition to unite in order to challenge this current regime?
It is true, I've had several meetings with Sokoju, and I think it's crucial for two reasons. Firstly, in terms of strategy, it is good for us to be together. And secondly, I think that the Cameroonians have been calling for a coalition for the past years. And to show that we have listened to them, it was important for us to get together. And I think it'll happen.
Now, Barrister, you recently met with Tomino Damjoya, the UDC party, and other political leaders. What were the key takeaways from the meeting, and what challenges hindered an agreement?
Well, I really was the initiator of the meeting that took place in Fumban. I did propose to President Damjoya that Fumban was a historic site, and secondly, the fact that she was the only candidate who was female, that it might be possible for her to call a meeting, and she went ahead and did that. The meeting in Fumban was very, very successful because we all agreed that we worked towards a single candidate, a consensual candidate, and that after the meeting of the Constitutional Council, we will proceed to elect or choose who the consensual candidate would be. But in Yaoundé, the sessions were not as smooth as we had thought. So we decided to work on the programs first. So the process is ongoing.
Being one of the initiators of this meeting, what's holding back opposition unity? Is it greed, ego, ideological differences, or something else? What are the underlying factors hindering the ability to agree and present a united front?
Well, I think that it's also the structuring of the campaign. Campaigns are only officially opened on the 27th of September. In the meantime, to have a campaign, you have to go and get a declaration, you have to make a declaration and all that. But in the campaign period, you don't have any of that. And that is like having a football team where people have been practicing to play and they don't have the occasion to get onto the field. So I think it's important that different parties are able to rally their own followers, discuss with them, have meetings, and then decide at the tail end of it what they will do. So I think that will happen by and by.
Talking about pre-electoral campaigns, you have been touring the country, campaigning as a candidate on the Univer party. What key messages have you been sharing with the people, and how do you plan to address their concerns?
Well, when you go with what I call door-to-door campaigns, you get to know the people personally, you talk to them, you know what they want. And I've been campaigning for my candidacy, not for Univer candidacy. Univer is not the candidate, I am the candidate. So the advantage of that, as I was saying, you talk to the people, you meet them, you know the voters themselves, which you miss out at rallies at times. You have a rally of 20,000 people when really the voters there are maybe just 1,000. So the effect is different. You see where they live. I mean, we went on a walkabout in a quartier not far from Mimboman in Yaoundé. And what did we discover? We discovered that the roads there were very, very bad. There was a part of it that was called Grand Lac. It was really disastrous. You had to go to see. Going about the place was very difficult. We were just told the other day that when the ministry heard that we had been down there, they were now planning to rush down there to see the people and see what they could do. So it has an effect, and I think we'll do more of those in view of the fact that to do a proper rally, you need to submit a declaration and you are exposed to all manner of blackmail.
Having been on the field and having first-hand information what the situation is like, can you elaborate more on your vision for Cameroon, particularly in terms of economic development, security, and of course, social justice?
Well, listen, my plan is in two parts. There is the first part, what I say, the plan for 100 days. Okay, that is because our country is in the emergency room. The 100 days is what? Firstly, there are 360 districts in the country. We want in the first 15 days to make sure that the development communities in associations in those different districts sit down and determine what is their priority. What do they need in their own district as a priority? We'll have a priority plan for all the 360 districts. The second thing is to have an audit of our finances. We don't know how much we owe. We don't really know how much we make. We only know that our debt level is around 44%, which is low and all that. But it doesn't mean a thing. We need an audit. Look at Senegal. They're just finding out that the amount of money they owe is way, way, way higher than what was disclosed. Okay, we'll do an audit. We'll do also I say once a Cameroonian, always a Cameroonian. We'll move away towards multinationality and make sure that, Cameroonians abroad can have their nationality because they're Cameroonian. They might have gotten another nationality of convenience, but I think that we should make it easier for them to go in and out of their own country. Something which is also in terms of reconciliation in our country, it's the Northwest Southwest crisis. We have to make sure that the pillars of dialogue are put in place, and also we also make sure, as regards the first president of the Republic, that his remains and that of his wife and his first daughter are brought back. And to the center of it, of course, we'll put in place a robust system for the fight against corruption. These are the main things I'm talking about in the 100 days, because as you know very well from my program, I am planning for a government of transition of 5 years, after which we should organize elections and a new president will be elected. And so by that time we would have looked at our constitution, looked at the governance structures, looked at the institutions, looked at the different laws, electoral law, and what have you. So I think that are the five areas in which we're going to work vehemently to make sure. And just to go back to the 360 districts, it is important to know that we are going to make sure that Glencore pays up what it has, what it owes our country from the corruption scandal. I figure that between 500 and 800 billion can be gotten from Glencore, and that money, which we should get within the first 7 days, or at least agree for payment within the first 7 days, will be now used. I plan to put 1 billion per district for the emergency project which I spoke to you about earlier on. So these are some of the things that we're planning to do in a transition government. Of course, we have 8 pillars that has to do with the real needs of the country, to do with education, to do with tourism, to do with roads, to do with all the aspects which should make a country greater.
Now, you outlined the case of Glencore. As someone who has been vocal about fighting corruption, particularly in the Glencore case, how do you view the recent report from CONAC indicating a significant reduction in corruption losses? Should this be seen as a notable achievement? Here we are talking about from 14 billion francs CFA to 4 billion francs CFA.
The report by CONAC, it's a campaign document. It's nothing to do with reality. Somebody tells you that embezzling in Cameroon is only 4 billion. That's a big joke. So I don't look at it with any kind of regard at all. I wrote 3 letters to CONAC, sending them documents. They have never called me up to ask me what happened, what can you explain to us. When he was asked the question, he said, well, it's a very sensitive matter. Sensitive matter? People have stolen government funds. It's a sensitive matter. Of course, all CONAC has to deal with are sensitive matters if they concern corruption by government officials. So I think it's a joke. 4 billion is a classical joke. And I think that CONAC should even be dissolved, because I don't think that they're adding anything to the progress of our country in terms of fighting against corruption. To talk about Glencore, people say there's no judgment that's been issued in that case. I don't know where they got that information from, but I know that I gave documents to the Ministry of Finance that has been trying to negotiate with Glencore for a settlement, because you know Glencore was involved in tax fraud, in money laundering, and also in customs fraud. So they are negotiating that, and I think the process is shaky a bit, because I think some of the people of Glencore are asking for immunity for themselves and also for the people who they corrupted. So that's what I can say about the Glencore case. Well, it's only Glencore, but there is also another company that benefited by buying oil at a 70% discount. That's a company called Vitol. They will have to explain. They have not been sentenced like Glencore. The Vitol is in my sights, because they also have to explain to the Cameroonian people how they were able to get a 70% discount on the sales of our oil.
Thank you so much, Barrister AKERE MUNA, for accepting my invitation on Talking Point tonight. And that's what put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of interesting programs on the best of TV station, that is Equinoxe TV, and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye for now.